I still remember the moment like it was yesterday. I was sitting across from a potential client, confident, well-prepared, convinced I was about to close the deal. I gave what I thought was the perfect pitch. I talked about the product, the features, the benefits, even the price advantage. I spoke for 20 minutes straight, expecting a handshake at the end. And when I finally paused, the client looked at me and said, "Thanks, but we're going with someone else." Just like that. I walked out of that room confused, frustrated, and honestly a little angry. I kept asking myself, what went wrong? I said all the right things. I gave them every reason to buy. But over time, I realized something critical. Selling isn't about what you say. It's about what they feel. And on that day, I hadn't made them feel anything. That moment changed my life because I realized I didn't understand selling. Not really. I understood pitching. I understood talking. But I didn't understand the psychology behind the decision to buy. And once I shifted my focus from pushing a product to understanding a person, everything changed. I started asking better questions. I started listening, really listening. I started paying attention to the emotions behind the words. And more importantly, I learned that people don't buy for logical reasons. They buy for emotional ones. Then they use logic to justify their decision afterward. That was the breakthrough. And since then, I've trained hundreds of thousands of salespeople around the world with one mission in mind: to master the inner game of selling. Because you can have the best script in the world, the perfect product, the most advanced CRM, but if you don't understand how people think, how they feel, and how they decide, you'll always be guessing. And in today's world, guessing is not a strategy. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the timeless sales psychology that top 1% performers use every single day. These are not tricks. These are not gimmicks. These are principles tested in the real world, proven over time, and simple enough for anyone to apply. Whether you're new to sales, struggling to close more deals, or already performing at a high level but ready to go further, this message is for you. Because once you master the psychology of selling, you stop chasing deals and start attracting them. You stop pushing and start guiding. And you move from persuading to serving. That's when everything changes. Let's begin. Selling is not about talking, it's about understanding. That's one of the hardest lessons I had to learn early in my career. Like most beginners, I thought the more I talked, the better I'd sell. I believed that if I could explain everything, every feature, every benefit, every technical detail, then the customer would have no choice but to say yes. I thought selling was about convincing. But over time, I realized something very different. People don't buy because they understand you. They buy because they feel understood. Let me say that again. People buy when they feel understood, not when they feel impressed, not when they feel educated, when they feel seen, heard, and emotionally connected to a solution that fits their unique need. That shifted everything for me. I started every conversation with a new question. What does this person truly need, and why do they need it now? I stopped pitching. I started listening, and not just listening to what they said, I started listening for what they meant. I paid attention to their tone, their hesitation, their pain points. I listened not just with my ears, but with curiosity. That's when I realized every sale is emotional before it becomes logical. People don't buy products. They buy the solution to a problem they're struggling with. They buy peace of mind, relief, security, growth, confidence. They buy the story in their mind that says, "This will make my life better." And if you don't understand that story, you'll never make the sale, no matter how good your pitch is. The best salespeople I've ever trained all do the same thing. They ask more questions than anyone else, and they listen more deeply than anyone else. They don't assume, they investigate, they don't talk to be impressive, they talk to uncover pain. Because once you identify the pain, the rest becomes easy. There's a pattern I follow in every high-stakes sales conversation. I call it need, emotion, solution. First, I uncover the need. I ask, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? I don't interrupt. I let them speak. I dig deeper, because the first answer is never the real answer. Then I move to the emotion. I ask, how is that affecting your team, your results, your stress levels? I let them feel the problem again so that they're emotionally connected to the cost of inaction. Only after that do I present the solution, not before, never before. Because if they don't feel the problem, they'll never value the answer. I always say selling is like diagnosing. You're not just showing options. You're prescribing the best path forward, and you can't prescribe until you diagnose. Talking before understanding is like giving someone medicine without knowing their illness. This mindset changed my results. It took me from struggling to close 1 or 2 sales a week to consistently being one of the top performers in every company I worked with. And it wasn't because I spoke better, it was because I listened better. I understood faster, and I cared more. Because at the end of the day, selling is not about products, it's about people. And when you start with the person, not the pitch, you build trust, you build influence, and you build results. But here's the next level. Once you understand that people buy emotionally, you have to go even deeper and ask what specific emotions drive a buying decision. In all my years training top sales professionals around the world, I've found that almost every yes comes down to 3 psychological triggers. Master these 3, and you can close almost any sale. Miss them, and even a perfect pitch will fall flat. The first is trust. If they don't trust you, they won't buy from you, period. It doesn't matter how good your product is, how long your slide deck is, or how big your brand is. Without trust, there is no sale. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Trust is not built through your words, it's built through your intentions. People can feel when you're there to help them versus when you're there to sell them. They can sense it in your tone, your posture, your questions. Trust begins with empathy. It grows with consistency, and it's sealed by follow-through. You build trust by listening, by remembering what they told you, by showing up on time, by doing what you say you're going to do. Every small action is either building or breaking that trust. And the moment they feel you're just another salesperson trying to hit a target, they emotionally shut down. But when they feel you're genuinely there to solve a problem, they open up. The second trigger is urgency. Even if they trust you, even if they love your product, they still won't buy unless they feel a reason to act now. The human brain is hardwired to delay action, especially when it involves change, risk, or spending money. So your job as a professional is to create a context that makes waiting feel more expensive than buying. Urgency doesn't mean pressure, it means clarity. It means helping them see the cost of inaction. What will happen if they don't solve this problem? What will they continue to lose time, energy, revenue, peace of mind by waiting another month? You don't need to scare them. You need to show them the real consequences of standing still. I ask questions like, what happens if nothing changes in the next 90 days? Or how much longer can your team operate under that pressure before burnout hits? These are not pushy questions. These are leadership questions. They move the buyer from passivity to clarity, and clarity creates motion. Which brings us to the third trigger, clarity itself. People don't buy what they don't understand. The confused mind always says no. And this is where so many sales are lost because the solution is unclear, the outcome is vague, or the next step is too complicated. Clarity means that your message is simple, direct, and specific. It means they know exactly what they're buying, why it matters, and what will happen next. So many times I see good salespeople bury their offer in complexity. Too many options, too much detail, too many if-then scenarios. But the top 1% know how to cut through the noise. They speak in plain language. They paint a picture. They say, here's your problem, here's the cost, here's how we solve it, and here's what happens next. Trust gets them to listen. Urgency gets them to care. Clarity gets them to act. If just one of these is missing, the sale stalls. But when all 3 are present, decision-making becomes easy. You're no longer pushing. You're guiding. You're not convincing. They're realizing. And that's the difference between transactional selling and transformational selling. Now let me show you the exact process I use to make that transformation happen every single time. I've taught this to thousands of top sales professionals, and it works in every industry, every product, every economy. It's simple, timeless, and incredibly powerful. I call it my 7-step sales formula. Step 1, prospect. You can't close a sale without the right person in front of you. Prospecting is not just about finding leads, it's about qualifying them. Who is your ideal client? What problems are they actively looking to solve? Are they the decision maker? Stop wasting time pitching to people who are never going to say yes in the first place. The better your prospect, the easier the close. Step 2, build rapport. People don't buy from strangers, they buy from people they like and trust. And trust starts with connection. You build rapport by showing genuine interest, by asking questions about them, by matching their energy and communication style. Don't rush this. A few minutes of authentic connection can open the door to a deeper, more honest conversation. Step 3, identify needs. This is the heart of the sale. Ask deep, open-ended questions. Go beyond surface-level answers. Find out what's keeping them up at night, what's frustrating them, what they've already tried and why it didn't work. This is where you listen, not to reply, but to understand. Because once you uncover the real need, the rest of the sale becomes simple. Step 4, present your solution. Now and only now, you talk about your product. But you don't just dump features, you connect benefits directly to the problems they told you. You say, you mentioned this. That's exactly why this part of our service is designed to solve it. You're not giving a generic pitch. You're giving a personalized prescription. Step 5, handle objections. Objections are not rejections, they're buying signals. When someone says, I'm not sure, it means they're thinking. Good salespeople panic here. Great ones lean in. I welcome objections because they give me insight into what the customer is really concerned about. And the key is to stay calm, ask clarifying questions, and reframe the objection into an opportunity for reassurance. Step 6, close the sale. So many people do everything right, but they never ask for the close. They wait, they hint, they hope. But confidence comes from clarity. I use simple closes like, it sounds like this would be a great fit. Would you like to get started this week or next? Or, is this something you'd like to move forward with today? Don't be afraid to ask. You're not forcing. They're already 90% there. You're just guiding the final step. Step 7, follow-up. This is where average salespeople disappear and where top performers earn loyalty. The sale doesn't end at the transaction. It continues through follow-up, onboarding, and post-sale service. That's where trust deepens. That's where referrals are born. That's where long-term business lives. This process is what I use to this day. It's not a theory. It's not a tactic. It's a system. And like any system, when you follow it consistently, your results become predictable. You don't have to wing it. You don't have to guess. You just show up, step in, and execute. Because in sales, structure creates confidence. And confidence closes deals. But even the best system can be sabotaged by small, silent killers that slip into your sales conversations without you even realizing it. I've seen talented, hardworking professionals lose deals, not because their offer was wrong, but because their approach was quietly off. These are mistakes that rarely get called out, but they quietly destroy trust, kill momentum, and block the close. Let's go through the most dangerous ones. Silent killer number 1, talking too much. This is the number 1 habit that kills sales. When you're nervous or excited, it's easy to over-explain, over-talk, and overload the customer. But selling isn't about impressing, it's about connecting. When you talk too much, the customer feels overwhelmed or worse, unheard. The best salespeople speak less and listen more. They pause, they ask, they reflect, and they only speak when it adds value. Remember, the more you talk, the less you learn. And the less you learn, the less likely you are to close. Silent killer number 2, rushing the process. You might be tempted to speed through rapport, skip over discovery, or jump into the pitch too soon. But selling is like building a bridge. You can't skip steps without making the whole structure unstable. Trust takes time, so does clarity. And if you rush it, your customer feels it. They feel pushed, not guided, and no one likes to be pushed. Great sales is not about speed, it's about timing. Silent killer number 3, selling features, not outcomes. This one is subtle but fatal. You might have a great product packed with features, but customers don't care about features. They care about what those features do for them. You say, it has 10 gigabytes of storage. They think that, can I stop worrying about losing my files? You say, it's AI powered. They wonder, will this save me time or money? Your job is to translate features into personal value. Speak their language. Make it about their goals, their problems, their wins, not your specs. Silent killer number 4, ignoring the follow-up. This one breaks my heart. You do all the work, you connect, you present, you build interest, and then you disappear. Or worse, you follow up once and stop. Let me be clear, the fortune is in the follow-up. Most sales are made after the 3rd, 4th, or even 5th point of contact. Not because people are ignoring you, but because they're busy, they're distracted, and they're waiting to see if you are serious enough to stay with them. The top 1% follow up with care, with service, with consistency. They don't pester, they stay visible, they keep offering value. Silent killer number 5, needing the sale. This one's invisible, but powerful. When you need the sale too badly, when your energy says, please say yes, the client feels it, and it repels them. Desperation leaks through your tone, your body language, your pacing. Confidence comes from detachment, from knowing your value, regardless of the outcome. When you're committed to helping, not to closing, you radiate authority. And people respond to that. I used to walk into every meeting thinking, I have to win this deal. But when I shifted to, let's see if this is the right fit, everything changed. I became calmer, more curious, and more magnetic. If any of these silent killers are present in your routine, don't beat yourself up. Just become aware. Awareness is the first step to mastery. Then start replacing each one with a habit of excellence. Speak less, slow down, focus on value, follow through, and hold your posture. Because in sales, it's not always the big mistakes that cost you, it's the small, consistent ones you never notice. And that's exactly what separates average performers from the elite. I've worked with some of the top 1% of salespeople in the world, people who consistently outperform year after year, regardless of the economy, the product, or the competition. And they all have one thing in common. They think differently. They don't see sales as a transaction. They see it as a transformation. They don't chase commissions. They chase clarity. They don't focus on closing. They focus on serving at the highest level. They understand that selling is not about getting someone to say yes. It's about helping someone make the right decision for themselves. They are advisors, not persuaders. They are educators, not entertainers. They lead with insight, not pressure. And because of that, clients trust them, respect them, and most importantly, return to them. Here's what I've learned from studying the top 1%. Number one, they ask better questions. While most salespeople are rehearsing their pitch, top performers are rehearsing their next question. Because they know the sale is won not when they talk, but when the client reveals the real issue. Number two, they listen with intensity, not politely, not half-heartedly, but fully. They hear the hesitation behind the words. They notice what's not being said. They stay present so they can respond with precision. Followed by that, they detach from the outcome. Yes, they want to win, but they don't need to win. They show up to serve, not to beg, and that mindset creates confidence, stability, and long-term relationships. People don't want to buy from someone who needs the deal. They want to buy from someone who knows their value with or without the deal. Next, they master their emotions. They don't let any ruin their day. They don't get high on a yes and are reckless the next hour. They stay centered, focused, because they know it's not about the last call, it's about the next one. And above all, they commit to mastery. They read, they study, they practice. They review their calls, they refine their process, they're always sharpening the saw because they know that in sales, your growth never ends. And the moment you think you've made it, you've already started falling behind. That mindset, that obsession with improvement is what makes them unstoppable. Now here's the good news, this isn't talent. It's not luck, it's learned. Every one of these traits can be developed. If you're willing to train your mind like a professional, if you're willing to structure your conversations, and if you're willing to do the internal work, you can rise into that 1% mindset. So let me leave you with a challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to do two things. First, before every sales conversation, write down one powerful question you want to ask, a question that digs deeper, a question that uncovers real pain or real need. Second, after each conversation, review yourself. What worked? What didn't? Where did you talk too much? Where did you miss the signal? Just 5 minutes of honest reflection a day will change your entire trajectory in 1 month. Because in the end, selling is not a talent you're born with. It's a psychology you build day by day, call by call, step by step. Master that psychology, and you won't just sell more, you'll lead more, influence more, and serve at a level that most people never reach. That's the kind of salesperson people remember. That's the kind of professional people refer to. And that's the kind of closer you were meant to be.